Hello and welcome. I'm Alex Grodnick, and this is Moving Up, a podcast about secrets to success, struggles along the way, and life in general. Today on the pod, Jason Brown, the co-founder and CEO of Tally. If you don't know what Tally is, then oh man, you're going to enjoy this conversation. But quickly, the gist is that it's an automated finance platform that can do some pretty incredible things. And just hearing Jason talk about the future of consumer finance, it's just so interesting. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're in this weird room at Money 2020. I'm glad you found it. Room 306.
It's nice and quiet, so.
Oh, we got that.
Yep.
I just mistakenly said you were an LA guy, but you're a San Francisco guy. Are you from San Francisco? Is that where you grew up?
I grew up in a little ski town in Colorado called Breckenridge.
You grew up in Breck?
I did.
I grew up in Park City.
Oh, no kidding.
Uh-huh.
I actually prefer Park City to Breckenridge, so I mean nothing to complain about Breckenridge, but it's a lot faster to get to Park City. So
that's what Park City is going for. All the places in Colorado and Sun Valley and Wyoming and stuff are prettier than Park City.
Yep.
Because they're more remote, but Park City is easy to get to.
It is. Breckenridge is a cuter town, though.
Oh yeah, I mean that's something. Everything about the Colorado town's prettier, better, everything. Park City, all it has is the easy to get to.
Oh yeah, well it has more than that, but yeah, it's good to talk to another mountain kid.
We actually have a lot in common. I've actually had not several, but like 3 or 4 other people on the podcast that we uncover the same thing, and then like you're like kind of bonded. Actually, one of the 5 co-founders of Facebook grew up in Sun Valley.
No kidding.
Uh-huh.
Wow, were you on the ski team in high school?
I mean, pre-high school I was.
Pre-high school.
And then I'm sure with you, it's like, are you going to be like really serious about skiing,
right,
or are you not? I mean, like a lot of my friends, like, do you guys have a winter school where you can go to school all summer long and have the winter be your summer?
We did not, but I think in Steamboat they did. That's where a lot of the Olympians came from. But one of the guys on my ski team went to the Olympics, so it was still pretty hardcore at high school.
So you did ski racing?
Yeah, I did, but it was cross country. So it was,
you did cross country?
Yeah, freestyle cross country. It's the kind of skiing you see in the Olympics where they're like skating. Mm-hmm. That was the kind that I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I don't know anyone in Park City that does that kind of skiing.
Yeah. Well, it was the dorky kids, because you have to wear spandex.
Well, I love it, and cool socks.
Oh, thank you. These are Tally socks.
Yeah,
so those of you that are listening, if you download the Tally app, which is a fully automated debt manager, the core experience is the home screen, and it's actually a picture of a person sitting, drinking coffee with their feet on the table and wearing socks.
Wearing those socks.
Yeah, wearing these socks. And so we've built an automated platform that can do financial thinking and financial work for you. And we have 2 financial jobs we do, which is pay off my credit card debt and then set money aside for me. So our kind of ethos is we set a very high bar for what automation means. It's not recommendations, it's not advice, it's actually doing the thinking and the work so that you can have your feet on the table. So everybody at Tally, when you join, you get a pair of Tally socks.
I love it. And we got into a little bit of Tally there, but like let's start earlier in the background. Like, where do you? So you grew up in Breck, cool ski town kid. You want to like go to a big city for college? Like I wanted to do. Like, what's going through your mind?
Well, it was for me actually. I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Actually, I have a little flyer that my mom saved. She showed me a couple of years ago. But I went door to door offering wood stacking and poop scooping services when I was 9. And actually, when I was a freshman in college, I started my first company, which ended up growing to 400 employees, and I built one of the largest residential house painting companies in Massachusetts. So I actually moved to Boston to start this company as a teenager, and that company got acquired, and I built a couple other companies thereafter. So I've just always been in love with the idea of taking an idea that you're passionate about from scratch and turning it into something. And at least for me, Tally is the thing that's been closest to my heart, because growing up, there was just a lot of anxiety in our household around money. And my mom in particular is just this really dynamic, eccentric, smart person. She works really hard, runs her own business. And despite all of that, there's just a lot of financial stress. And she really hasn't been able to reach any of her financial goals. So I was just like, man, I want to build a service that's capable of taking the load off of people and allow them to live their lives. And so my mom, she's into exercise and she's a raw vegan. It's like, you do all that, okay, and we're gonna pay all your bills and manage everything for you, just like if you had like a team of 5 people working for you. And I wanna build that into software so that we can take take all that off of the human experience plate and allow people to just do what they love.
Right. So this is an interesting kind of point I always get to. It's like you grew up in like an entrepreneurial family. Like this was instilled in you from day one. It was like never I'm going to like go work for some big bank or something.
I guess my parents were very encouraging that we should chart our own path. And actually, I was homeschooled for the first all the way through 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And even my mom, she was just like, "Hey, what do you want to learn?" And I was like, "Well, I want to learn about taxidermy." She's like, "Okay." So she went through the yellow pages and cold called taxidermists and found one that would let us camp out in their workshop for a week or so. And like we go there and we learn about the taxidermy business and all the chemicals they use and everything. So it was just this idea of, hey, the world is your oyster. You just have to be willing to go, make the phone call or knock on the door and go explore. And you can like learn anything you want. You just have to be willing to go after it. So I feel really, really fortunate.
I think it's a really empowering way to educate versus just like, here's some crap you don't want to learn it, memorize it. Like learn something you actually care about.
Exactly. And I think it's just that intrinsic motivation. My parents were always it was all about curiosity and chasing your curiosity. So for me, I was never at a point where I dreaded school. Like I always I couldn't wait to go to school. Like when I hear my friends talking about like the next Game of Thrones, I haven't watched that here, it's over. But when they were talking about the next episode, that excitement and anticipation, that's kind of what I felt going to school, because I was like, what am I going to learn and what new ideas am I going to have? So cool. That was definitely thanks to my parents.
Okay, so then what's the start of this house painting company?
Yeah, well, it was just, when you're 18 years old and wanting to start a business, I was like, hey, I want to do something that will require a lot of employees, because I really wanted to learn about leadership. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to learn about just like the actual people side of running a business. And so that seemed like an accessible thing for me. And the first year I had about 50 employees, and then it ended up growing from there to about 400 when I sold the company. And honestly, I did eventually get an MBA from University of Chicago, but I learned more in those couple of years of running a house painting business than I have at any other point in my life. And just a complete crash course in, recruiting, hiring, firing, managing, challenging situations, creating a management structure, all of that it was just this really, really stressful. It was the most stressful point in my life, but it was the place where I got I don't know if you've heard of the 10,000 hour rules, but I got a good chunk of my 10,000 hours of building and managing a company in college.
Sure. So you started it in Colorado, or you in Massachusetts?
So in Massachusetts. So I ended up going to school at Boston University,
uh-huh.
And I went to classes at BU, but other than that, I was working the entire time. Right. So I don't know a single person from BU, at least that I met.
Did you graduate?
I did, yeah. And I'm a book nerd, so I graduated with highest honors, but literally I would be sitting in the back, I'd have my laptop open, I'm like sending emails, like dealing with issues, and then I'd have my notebook on the other side taking notes, so it was a very multitasking experience.
Do you regret that?
I do not. I did go to business school for the reason that I wanted an intellectual vacation, and when I was in business school, I really enjoyed myself. I worked at a venture capital firm. I thought for a little bit I wanted to be a VC, but I realized that I'm an operator. But I took like machine learning courses. Like I just went like super deep in finance, and I just had a blast in college. In business school. So I made up a little bit for the sacrifices.
So is this the path? Painting company, sell painting company, business school?
No, I started a new company after I sold the painting company when I graduated, and it's called Bass.com, and we ended up bootstrapping the company all the way till 7 years in. The only money we took was $20 million from ABS Capital Partners after it was already very successful and kind of more to the private equity stage. Mm-hmm. But we actually wrote our own screen sharing software. So this was way back in the day. And what our vision is that, this was in the birth of spyware, and like people's computers were constantly having issues. So we said we want to have a PC care subscription service so that any normal consumer can press a button and have remote tech support instantly without having to talk to anybody. And then every quarter, our technicians would remote into the computer and maintain it to prevent issues, kind of like changing oil in the car. Sure. And so that was our brainchild right out of college, and built that up. And then I was like, hey, you know what? It's been a lot of years of hard work. I want to go take this vacation at U Chicago, and it was a wonderful 2 years. That's actually where I met my co-founder for my next two companies. So
awesome. And so you said you interned in VC between years 1 and 2?
yeah, I did. Yep.
And was that in Chicago?
No, it was in Silicon Valley. So there's a Pacific Northwest venture capital firm. They do Series A investing called Voyager Capital, and I actually was just supposed to intern, but they kept having me look at deals and do work when I went back to Chicago.
Yeah.
So it really taught me a lot. I learned a lot about fundraising and how bad most pitches are. I learned how painful it is to be on that side of the table when pitches are really bad. And I also learned that I mean, no offense to anybody who is a VC, but it's a very passive sort of world. You're trying to identify and pick value creators, but you're not like creating value yourself. And for at least my disposition, I just love operating. Like,
I mean, yeah, that's clear from 10 minutes of talking.
I just like love every part of building a company and establishing core values and building the culture and scaling. So for me, it gave me some clarity that I'm an operator and I'm really at peace with that. But I learned so much about fundraising that I'm really glad I was able to have that experience.
Yeah, it's what an internship experience to be able to weed something out that you thought you really wanted to do, and you're like, oh yeah, and in a couple months I can see that I don't want to do that.
Yep, and learned a lot along
That's
the way.
what business school is all about, pretty much.
It is.
Getting closer. I mean, everyone goes to business school and think, oh, I'm going to find all these things and discover who I am, and then I'm going to go get the perfect job.
Yeah.
I went to business school too. I think I have like one friend who thinks he has the perfect job. No one. That's like, it's Goldilocks. It doesn't really work like that anymore. Maybe it used to.
Maybe it used to. Yeah, it's a little different now.
Yeah. We just had some people walk into the room. So, okay, so you go to business school, weed out, VC is not for you, you want to be an operator, you meet a friend, and you're like, let's do something together.
Yeah, so this guy named Jasper Platts, we were running the venture capital private equity club together at B School. So we got a chance to kind of effectively work together for about a year, and we're really complementary skill set. And so we graduated in 2009, so the depth of the financial crisis.
From undergrad in 2009, so yeah.
Oh, nice, good.
Well, not nice.
Yeah. I think it teaches a lot of those people that graduated in those years. It teaches a lot of persistence and resilience, right? But we were fortunate to have. We were the first business school to have actually a renewable energy course, and it was looking at the actual business and economics of renewable energy. And we really got deep into solar and understanding that in most states in the United States, eventually the cost of solar electricity to generate locally would drop below the cost of grid electricity prices. And California was the first market where that was about to happen. So we ended up raising a seed round literally the last day of business school. And we started our company in California like 6 or 7 days after graduation, and we built a residential solar finance company. And we were actually the first company ever to sell a zero down power purchase agreement, which basically allows a homeowner just to sign a piece of paper and they pay nothing. And then solar panels go up on their roof, and they are contractually now buying electricity from us. The company was Gen 110. So they buy electricity from Gen 110.
Like premium to what it would actually be.
No, discount, significant discount.
What if they bought the panels?
Oh, if they bought the panels?
They
yes.
amortize the price of the panels into the electricity.
Yeah, and from the customer's perspective, it's really simple. There's a meter on their house, and they were paying, let's say, 40 cents a kilowatt hour, and now they're paying 15. And there's no risk for the customer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So it was an innovation in the way that you present the decision to the customer. And consumers are used to switching, let's say, from cable to satellite, and we just made it so that you could essentially make the same decision with your electricity. And so that company ended up being really successful in the first couple of years, and then we ended up getting acquired by a company that was vertically integrating. And we spent a year to make sure our technology and platform got integrated, and then Jasper and I went and started Tally.
You didn't try to integrate like painting into the houses after you put the solar panel?
No. I mean, after my college experience, I vowed never to do anything in the physical world. It's really, really hard. So I stick to software from then on out. Yeah.
Okay. So you have this great success with the solar company, and are you still like great friends with the founder of that company?
So my co-founder and I, we started Tally together.
Oh, so you started two companies together.
Yeah.
Is that normal?
I don't know. I don't.
I don't think I've seen like a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't actually know. I mean, Jasper is he's a world-class guy, and we're different enough in that. I mean, I've been the CEO of both companies, and I really enjoy the fundraising and the recruiting and the out there kind of stuff. And he was always really focused on product and design. So I think that allowed us to support each other well. But yeah, we right after our company got acquired, Gen110. I was really kind of, I would say, obsessed with the just thinking about what the next 20 years will hold, and specifically when historians write the history books, like what are going to be the most interesting chapters. And I concluded that one of the most interesting chapters is going to be the role that automation plays in shaping the human experience. And there is no place in the modern life that's more stock full of stress and anxiety than our financial lives. And I know this really well from my childhood, because my parents had a lot of financial stress going on. And so it's this idea that you can build this intelligent intermediary that will stand between you and the financial system. And on one side, it'll act a bit like a therapist to help you figure out what your human heart wants. And then it will translate that into a mathematically set of optimizable goals. It'll be able to figure out the best strategy to get you there, and it'll do all the work. So it'll move all the money, sign all the contracts, it'll make it all happen for you. And I said, I want to build that. I want to be the first company to reach complete financial automation. And so we set out on our journey about 4.5 years ago.
Wow. That's a compelling pitch. Yeah, because like you're right. Banking, nothing about it has been automated. It's like all been very siloed. I have my mortgage, savings account, checking account, a couple of different credit cards, and like none of them talk to each other, know what's going on. None of them are like looking out for like my best interest. It's always like the bank's best interest, and you're saying that's not the way it should be.
Exactly. Yeah. So I talk a lot about the 3 waves of consumer fintech. So the first wave was immediately after the financial crisis. And this is when we saw the emergence of like a lot of online lenders. And really this was a temporal arbitrage because the banks were busy with a financial crisis. And then it moved to wave 2, which I call mobile tools. So that's really where a lot of activity has been recently. And that's your neobanks, your online stock trading. And at the end of the day, the mobile tools wave is about giving you a set of tools like screwdriver, hammer, whatever. And you have to, as a human, you have to know what you want. And then you have to spend your time and your intelligence picking up these tools and using them to achieve your objectives. And where the world's going is wave 3, and that is this race to complete automation, where we move from tools that you use to tools that an intelligence service uses on your behalf. And now you don't have to apply your time and your intelligence to get there. And that's what I find really invigorating, and it's similar to self-driving cars. I mean, we're going to a place where you'll be able to say, hey, take me to Tahoe, and you get in the car, and it takes you to Tahoe safely. And that is possible to do in software for driving as well as for finance. And so our company, Tally, we're a financial automation company. So all of our focus is building software that can do financial thinking, and then pair that with the ability to do the financial work.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally right. I completely agree with that. Like going to Home Depot and buying tools to do something on my house, I mean, that's super daunting. That's buying the tools.
Yep.
I don't know how to do that. You're saying that's screwed up. Like send your robot there, he'll get the right stuff, and he'll come back and do it all for you.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just like humans. I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "But I don't know what my financial goals are," and I'm like, "But you know what you want." Right? You want to live in a certain place. You want to either keep working or not keep working. Like we all know what like we as humans want. And one of our areas of focus at Tally is being able to interpret human desire and turn that into an actual financial goal. And then once it's turned into a goal, then it's just math from there on out. And that's where software really excels when you have a clear goal to optimize.
Okay, so you're talking about grand aspirations of automating into the entire financial picture. So where does that start? Like, what is that today? Like, where did that start 4 years ago? Where is it today? Like, how does it actually work?
Yeah, well, we knew that we needed to fully automate one job. And so we decided to pick what I think in retrospect is probably one of the hardest things to automate, which is credit card debt management. So the way Tally works is you download the app, you scan in your cards, you pass a soft credit check, and then we actually take responsibility for paying your cards for you with our money. And that allows us to take over things like we automatically get you a lower interest rate if you're getting charged interest on your cards. We guarantee no late fees. Our algorithms can make sure you pay down your cards in the best way, so it makes it faster to get out of debt. And believe it or not, it was over $40 million in 3.5 years just to build the underlying platform to make that possible.
I believe that.
But what was great is it allowed us to develop these underlying building blocks that can, ingest data horizontally across your financial life, make sense of it. We have the ability to move money around. We're actually a licensed lender in most states in the U.S., so we have actual authority to do things. And then we said, okay, cool. Now that we've automated debt management, what's the next most important thing that Americans need done? And it's really around saving, and it's the need to make sure that you have money set aside for goals or for a rainy day. So then we added automated savings quite recently, and we're working towards this broad platform that can do all my jobs. So it can improve my credit score, it can finance my home, it can auto refinance my mortgage every time interest rates change. So building in all these different financial jobs that are able to work in unison and they are coordinated towards the global goals of the human.
Right, the goals that you set out at the beginning.
Yep.
Wow, that's very cool. And so talk about the next iterations of it. Like what are the you're talking about mortgages and investments and or savings and debt credit. Where does it go from next?
Well, so internally we have this basically pyramid of needs. So it's a little bit like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And really for the American middle class, the foundation of the pyramid is you got to get rid of credit card debt and you have to start saving a cash buffer.
Yes.
And then from there, it's about reducing other forms of debt and then starting to save and invest, insure against risk. So we have a model where the customer will have, let's say, a big goal like I want to be a homeowner. Mm-hmm. And that might be, let's say, a 9-year journey, and it involves getting rid of card debt and down payment and improving credit score.
It always starts at the bottom of the pyramid.
Exactly, just making sure that that foundation is there. And then it can go to things like, again, coming back to things that we all know. We know we want our kids to go to good schools. I have 2 kids, and that means a lot of times where you live. So being able to automatically do an analysis of your earning potential for your career in different markets that have really good schools, and at least presenting to us humans to say, look, there's these different places where you could buy a home other than where you live. Do you want to consider those? Because you'd be able to get more home and more school for the dollar. And even if you're like, no, I want to stay here because it's close to grandma, that's fine. But there's a lot of analysis that goes into things even before you buy a home, that it's good to be able to surface that to a person. And then finally, once you have a home, it automatically finances it for you, and then it refinances it every time interest rates change. So that's like a really big, hard problem that is definitely going to take us a couple of years to solve. But those are the kind of problems that we're working on here.
I'm refinancing my mortgage now, and I think it's going to take me 5 months to do it, and probably 100 emails.
And PDFs and information, but the ability just to already have verified your identity, your income, everything, so that you don't even know what's happening. All you know is we're able to save you $1,000 a year.
Come on, that would be too good.
Yeah, I mean, but the crazy thing is, literally, that's what banks and companies already have, right? For most of their things, is like there's markets that automatically clear anytime things change. It's just that hasn't ever been made available to consumers. So I just get really energized about trying to solve hard problems that nobody has yet solved.
Wow. But your 2 kids, they're not homeschooled?
They're not. I'm not capable of doing what my parents did. I mean, they were just so energetic and so dedicated. I wish I could, but both my wife and I really enjoy our jobs. So one of us would have to drop out of the workforce to do that.
Is your wife a founder too?
She's actually a dentist. So we have a nice balance of kind of risk seeking and uncertainty, and she has a lot of predictability.
I have the same thing with my wife. She's not a dentist, but she's got a stable job, and I'm swinging for the fences.
Nice. It's from a portfolio theory perspective, it's a great strategy.
I think so. I tell her that. I think she would rather have me just have a regular job. Her family is like accountants. They're like very risk averse, but yeah, my family's gunslinging entrepreneurs. So
I got it. Well, I feel super fortunate. My wife has been really supportive of me, but she did meet me when I was a founder already. So I think she knew what she was getting into.
Right. Well, that's super fun to hear the story of your company and the story of your life. I usually have two last questions. The first one is like, advice for someone early in their career trying to like carve out their path in life. Like we've heard about, your passion for building, and now you realize it's building software and operating. Is like the only way to figure out those things is to go out there and try and do and disrupt, or is there like something you can opine on from your career that maybe would make things a little easier for younger people?
Well, so I it's hard to have generalizable advice because it really depends on your skill set and what your kind of superpower is. But I do think finding your superpower and really investing in it. So if it's writing software, it's like really go deep on that. If it's let's say influencing people and recruiting, like put yourself in a situation where you can get the 10,000 hours so that you can be one of the best people in the world at that thing, and then find a way to match your passions to applying that to what you're doing. Because I think working on things that you have, that your heart loves, gives you so much energy, and it will take you so far you can't even know. So I think, Tally's a mission-driven company, and our mission is to make people less stressed and better off financially. And every time I think about that in the morning, I get so excited, and I can't wait to go to work and work on that. And the idea of not achieving that makes me feel really sad. So it's like that drive that comes from doing something that you believe in. So I would say those are the two things to think about.
That alignment.
Exactly.
Like if you saw that it was taxidermy, then go get your 10,000 hours and be the most incredible taxidermist.
Exactly.
Ever. So
yeah, because I think it really comes down to your self-awareness and seeking fulfillment by having a deep purpose. And I really do think purpose is a combination of some core skill that you have that gives you a lot of energy that you're great at, applied towards something that you care a lot about.
But yeah, you were fortunate to be able to find your purpose early in life. It's not always easy to have that self-awareness and discover what your purpose is. Sometimes that takes a long time.
It does.
Yeah, so you're very fortunate. And the last question is, I always talk about providing value in whatever you do. And so is there something that the listeners of this podcast can do that would provide value to you, to Tally, anything like that?
Well, let's see. We're hiring for a lot of roles. We're a little over 100 now, and we are expanding quickly. So for sure, if there are any engineers listening, we're hiring a lot of engineers, product people, user success. We're even hiring some finance people. So I would say check out the careers page to see if there's a role at Tally that speaks to you. And other than that, I would say it'd just be awesome to use Tally. If you need help managing your cards, or you want help saving towards a goal or a rainy day, Tally Save is it's an amazing product. So it's totally free to use, and it actually gives you rewards every time Tally sets money aside, and you can redeem those rewards either for gift cards from like Uber or Amazon, or we partnered with Charity Water, and you can actually donate them to give people clean water. So it's a way for you to make progress towards saving towards things you care about, and make it feel a little rewarding as well. And because it's automated, it doesn't require any work on your part.
Oh, sounds awesome, man. I love it. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right, thanks, Alex.
All right.
Thanks for listening today. If you like moving up, the best way you can support us is by telling your friends. Thanks.